Howdy folks, Zapper here, aka Sean, and I'm bringing you Battletech Alpha Strike. So, I've been gone for about a week. I was traveling for work and all that kind of stuff, so wasn't able to play anything this past week, but it's time again to get some Battletech going and try out these Alpha Strike rules, which, you know, I think this is probably the first time. And again, I don't think I explained it very well in the intro. But Alpha Strike is a little bit more simplified version of classic Battletech, which uses, let me grab one. So it uses these vehicle sheets, and you can see, let me see if I can bend that in there. So you can see that like each vehicle, there are detailed hit locations, and it really breaks down the weapons, and you have to chew through the armor, and each time you make an attack you have to see where you hit, and then, you know, depending on how much damage you do, you mark off pips in the box. So you can see on this tank here, it's probably a little bit hard to see. Let's see if we can get it there. And because I have it in a document protector, the actual dots that I have marked off don't quite line up with the circles printed on the sheet. But you can see, you know, if you hit the front of the tank, it's going to take a while to chew through that armor, right? Like, and that's a heavy tank, so it's going to have more armor. Light tanks obviously are going to have less armor. And then Alpha Strike kind of, you can kind of see it here where my thumb is. So there's 2 armor points, and then there's 2 structure points. I've lined out the rest. And it might be a little bit hard for you to see, but I've drawn a line through that. So basically, it's basically got 4 points. And once you do 4 points of damage, then the vehicle is destroyed. So at short range, with the weapons on this Scorpion light tank, you would do 1 point of damage. And at medium range, you would also do 1 point of damage. So if it was a Scorpion tank versus a Scorpion tank, oh, I'm sorry. Look at that. And you have long range too. So it can do 1 damage all the way from short through medium through to long range. So if it was Scorpion tank versus Scorpion tank, it would take basically 4 hits from a Scorpion attacking this Scorpion to destroy it. So it kind of simplifies it a little bit. And then also, Alpha Strike is kind of intended to be played using miniatures and terrain and all that. I do have miniatures, I just don't have enough. And I think I talked about it in the first video, as I only have miniatures of 1 force painted up. So I have Draconis Combine stuff painted, but I don't have anything else painted. I don't have enough vehicles. I don't think I have any vehicles outside of Draconis Combine. So I decided that I'm kind of use a hybrid system where I'm going to play Alpha Strike using paper maps and chits to represent the different forces. So it's almost like it's a hex and counter game. I'm turning Alpha Strike into a hex and counter game. So let's go back to our Scorpion tank, and it doesn't really say it on the card. I thought it said it on the card, but let me look at my handy dandy reference sheet. So short range is anything under 3 inches. I probably ought to write that on these cards at some point. Medium range is anything under 12 inches. Long range is anything under 21 inches. And extreme range is anything under 30 inches. So I'm going to use 1 hex equals 1 inch, even though if I measured the hex, it technically doesn't. A hex is not exactly 1 inch across, but whatever. So I'm kind of doing a hybridized version of the 2 systems. I don't have a lot of terrain, and I don't have, you know, the big battle mats and all that kind of stuff. I've been wanting to get a battle mat for a long time, but I've just kind of been putting it off. Because if I spend that kind of money, battle mats are kind of expensive. If I spend that kind of money on a battle mat, I want to be able to get multi-use out of it, right? I want to be able to use it for more than just Battletech. And, you know, I have HeroScape. I would kind of want to be able to use it for everything, right? Because if you're dropping $60-$70 on a battle mat, you know, you want to get as much use out of it as you can. So I want it to be useful for more than just one game system, and so that's kind of why I've been putting it off. But so anyway, we've had our first movement. You roll initiative. I decided because Draconis Combine, House Karita forces, they are the defender. They won the initiative on the first turn, so the winning player goes last. So the pirates / marauders, you know, the Mad Max war boys are on the move. They started over that way a little bit, and these are their final movement. So just as a recap, these are smoke or gray colored, dark gray. So these are my J. Edgar light tanks. So we have we have a total of 4 of them. The white arrows are motorized infantry platoons, and they are in flatbed trucks. So you can kind of imagine this truck with just dudes hanging all off of it, you know, just screaming and shouting like in Mad Max Fury Road. And then the medium gray guys, they are Scorpion light tanks. We also have beast mounted infantry, so think of guys that are maybe on horses, or if you want to go into the Star Wars universe, dewbacks or banthas. And then the black cubes are heavy mountain infantry, so these dudes, like, you know, they're up in the hills. And what I've done over on this side of the map is I've placed different color cubes on the map, and what I'll do is at the end of each turn I'll reach into my bag and I have colored cubes that represent these. I'll pull out a cube, so kind of like that. So I would place a platoon of infantry on any one of the purple cubes. So I have a purple cube here. I don't know, you can't see that one. So, and then I have a purple cube over here. So if I wanted to, I could place one platoon of infantry on one of those spots. Now, if I don't like the placement, then I can hold off and not deploy that guy, and wait till I get a better pull from the draw bag. So that's kind of how that's going to work. So right now, I've conducted movement. Both sides have moved, and now I'm going to do combat. So I really only have one spot where I can do combat. I've used my laser line to figure out if I've got line of sight. So basically what I did is, may or may not be hard to see because number one, I've got glare, so you can see my fan spinning right here, and I don't know how well this fan or this laser is going to show up on the video, especially with the plexiglass that I have too. But basically, so I'm doing a line of sight from these J. Edgars over to this is a Maxim transport. It's got 4 platoons of infantry in it. So that's really the only engagement that I can do. So I'm going to use basic line of sight, right? So there's nothing that's in the way. This hilltop right here is basically out of the way. There's intervening light woods here and here. So that's how I determine line of sight. That's the only engagement that's possible at this moment. And then let's see here. So I've added up all of the modifiers. So the skill level for these particular tanks is 5, which is kind of I think it's considered green. You know, pirates are untrained, right? So that's kind of what I was going for. So the base die roll is a 5. And then let me see, the attacker mod for normal movement, there's no modification. Had they sprinted or jumped or whatever, then that might be a modifier there. Let's see, what's next? The target movement modifier. So these dice right here show what the target movement modifier is. So that's going to be a +3. If I was trying to shoot these J. Edgars here, then the attacker would get a +3. So let's see, can you see here? I think you can. You can barely see where my finger is. So that's a +3, right? Because these guys moved. So that's what the +3 is. For each 1 inch of intervening woods, light woods, that's a +1 per inch. So there's light woods here, and they're in light woods, so that's a +2. And then we are at medium range because I believe that's 12 inches. Or 12 hexes. So I need a 12 to hit, basically. So a long way of saying I need a 12 to hit. So chances are that I'm not going to hit. And where is my dice tower? Here it is. Dice tower's a little noisy, but you know, dice can be really, They tend to fly all over the place. So I like using a dice tower just because it kind of, you know, it never fails. You roll these dice and they're going to hit something and knock it out of the way. It happens all the time, or they fall off the table or whatever. So I need a 12, which would also be a critical hit, and I almost got a 12. So this symbol right here is a 1. So if you look here, that's a 1, and then on the opposite side is a 6. So that was one J. Edgar. The other J. Edgar, because there's 2 there, the other one will fire. And nothing happened. So pirates missed. Now if we go over here, so these guys can fire back. They have a little bit more skill, or they're a little bit more skilled. So they have a 4, 0 attacker modifiers, because they just did a basic movement. Let me see, target movement modifier. So remember the die, so I put the die in there. So the pirates, they have a 3, so that's +3. I'm only going to count 1 hex of intervening light woods. I'm not going to count the hex that they are in for the attacker. Attacker gets the benefit, right? And then the range is the same. Range is a medium range, so they need a 10 or higher. So there's only 1 maximum transport. Let me see, can they shoot? Yes, they can shoot at medium range. So they will do 1 point of damage if they are able to hit. And they rolled a 7, so nothing happened. So that is pretty much it. That's the end of the first turn for this little meeting engagement between the Draconis Combine local defense force and this marauding band of pirates, or marauding band of marauders, or pirating band, whatever you want to call it. So that's basically the first turn. Alright, I've just conducted movement, and it might look a little confusing because I definitely have a lot of cubes and things on the board, but I'll try to explain that the best that I can. So let me see. We'll start over here. Karita, local defense forces, they moved first. Can we see him? Yes. So I had the behemoth move up, and I had to look in the Alpha Strike rules real quick, and it does have rules for converting over to hexes. Basically, you're having the movement. So if the movement says 16 inches normally, then you would move 8 hexes. So I think that is the ranges on the weapons haven't changed. So movement's a little slower, but weapon ranges are pretty much the same. You know, you could probably, if you really wanted to, you know, apply that change across the board to movement and weapon ranges, but then we just have to get closer. So we'll just say that the first turn I moved normal, what I thought was normal movement, so we're getting engaged faster. You know, makes sense, right? Well, why drag the game out when you don't have to? So anyway, the behemoth moved up. He's going to start moving forward. The 2 strikers, I don't know. Yep, you can see that one. So they're staying put, right? Because they can provide indirect fire because they have missiles, so they can do indirect fire if they want. So they're kind of going to hang back. The behemoth can also do indirect fire, but he's pretty slow. He has a movement of 4 on the card, which you half that, so he can move 2 hexes. So I'm going to slowly move him up. I mean, it's a behemoth tank is a very big tank, hence the name Behemoth. Also, you can't stack, so you can move through people, you can move through friendlies, you can't move through enemies. So I had a lot of stuff. I think I had some things doubled up in some hexes. I think that was more for the pirates or the marauders than anything. So I kind of unstacked stuff, which, I mean, there was combat last turn. There were no hits or anything, so honestly it doesn't really matter. So the Maxim transport stayed in its spot, and I am going to have to move him. Hover vehicles can't stay in woods, so I'll end up moving him out. In fact, I'll just do this right here. He didn't move, and the infantry disembarked. So all the infantry disembarked into the light woods. Can't stack them, obviously, so I kind of spread them out a little bit, but they're going to start taking up defensive positions right there. The scimitar tanks, I had one move up here onto this little bluff. It's kind of hard to see maybe through the camera, but this is a level 1. Down here is level 0. That's one of the cool things, at least about this map, is like they made kind of the higher you get up in elevation, the lighter the color of the terrain. So it's kind of color coded, so it does help out a little bit. There's a couple places where it's not quite as evident, but I don't think it's going to apply to the main battle area. So I had this scimitar move up, so he's kind of got some overwatch this way. This scimitar moved up 1. He was back here, so he just moved up, so he's going to have a little bit of... He'll be able to see down this valley a little bit. This is some higher level terrain here, which will block line of sight, but everything else... So basically, right through here, anything that comes out into here, we should be able to take a shot at. And then I had the locust move over here, so this is higher terrain, so basically to that side he can't be attacked, which, I mean, it's his own guys anyway, so if he's getting attacked, something's going horribly wrong. And then the pirates, kind of had them move up. I did spread some of them out because I did have some double stacked stuff, but the J. Edgars have kind of moved up. They are hover tanks, so they can't move through woods. So again, this is the only hex right here that is higher terrain. So it's kind of like a butte right there in the middle of in the middle of a canyon. So that one moved up. That one moved up. We had this one kind of flank around. He's going through this little canyon right here, and then this one moved up. This is level 1 terrain. Eventually, what his goal is going to be is to get onto this level 2, so he can maybe engage that scorpion, engage the locust. He can, I think well, that's level 2 right there, so that's probably going to block that locust. Let's look. So if we go center to center on the hexes, oh man, he will be able to take a shot. I'll give him some modifiers because the locust is on higher elevation, so the locust is probably partially covered, you know, because he's on level 1, the locust is on level 2, so the farther back you are on terrain, the harder it is to see. In fact, I might rule that he can't see that guy. Now in MBT, there's calculations that you can do, and it just gets ridiculous. Okay, if a guy's on level 1 and he's firing at a guy on level 3 terrain, it gets the farther back on the level 3 terrain, you know, you can't hit, right? Like, it makes sense. So anyway, enough of I'm kind of rambling on about that. But so the trucks, the motorized platoon with the trucks, they just kind of spread out. I'm not going to push them ahead yet until the pirates have maybe softened up the enemy over here. So they kind of just spread out. And then the scorpion tanks, they're tracked, so they have a little bit more freedom of movement in some stuff. So, but they're very slow, so they only have a 3 hex movement. So I kind of moved them up, and so that is it for movement. Now it is the combat phase, so I'll figure out what combats we have, and I'll get back. Okay, so I've just decided who can attack, figured out who can attack and who's going to attack. So there's 4 different, no, not 4, there's only 3 different attackers on this side of the pirates. So I've kind of determined that the locust cannot be attacked by this guy, so it would be vice versa, right? So neither one of those. This little butte right here is kind of blocking line of sight, so this guy's safe from the locust, and I think the edge of this butte here keeps that scimitar from being, or no, excuse me, not scimitar, that's a scorpion. Keeps that scorpion from being hit. So I've kind of, what I've done is I've written down the hit number. So this J. Edgar is going to shoot at that scimitar. This J. Edgar is going to shoot at, can you see that? Yep, you can see that. So you can shoot at that scimitar, and that J. Edgar is going to shoot at that scimitar. So 3 attacks. Let's see what happens. So this is the die is the modifier if I'm attacking this guy. So that's just kind of a visual reminder. All right, if I'm going to attack that J. Edgar, I'm going to add 3 to my die roll, or 3 to my target number. The white, so if you look here, I've got these handy dandy reference sheets that I got off of Death from Above Wargaming, and you can see right there, Death from Above Wargaming. I do believe that in my intro video I have a link to their website. But so you'll see the die. But then you'll also see like maybe a cube next to it. So like this guy has a clear cube. There's a couple guys that have they're gray cubes, like these guys over here have gray cubes, which is going to represent black. So that tells me what they did. So these trucks, they stood still. So if anybody's got a clear cube, that basically means they use basic ground movement. If they have a red cube, they use jump movement, and if they have a yellow cube next to it, they use sprint movement. So that's kind of what these very small cubes represent, is what movement they did. So most of the people have the clear cubes, which is they use basic ground movement. Sprint movement is basically double your movement, but you can't attack. So when everything is said and done, we have our pilot rating, we have our attacker mod, our attacker mods, which for ground movement is usually going to be a 0. We have our target mod, which, so if I'm attacking this guy over here, he has a 4, so that gives me a 9 total. And then the range, which is, I think, medium range, so that's +2, so that's why I have an 11. So that's kind of how that's where I'm getting some of these numbers from. So we'll go ahead and roll right here. We need an 11. We did not get it, so he is attacking that guy. He needs a 9. Did not get it, and then he needs an 11 to hit this guy over here. And he got it, and that is going to be also a critical hit, because when you roll double 6s, it's always going to be a critical hit. So let us look here. So J. Edgar does, medium range does 1 point of damage. Let's see, we are going, well, now the only problem with the way I have this organized is we're going to have to keep track of who's been damaged and who's not, because I have 2 scimitars, so we have to make sure that, well, there we go. So we just filled in 1 bubble to show 1 point of damage, and now the scimitar has taken a critical hit. Let's see. So that is a vehicle, and that is a 9. Oh man. Hopefully I'll be able to edit that out. I hit my camera, so hopefully I'll be able to edit that out. A 9 is a weapon hit. So let's look at the scimitar here. Do we have? So if we look here, okay, so we fill in 1 box, and so it's -1 damage for each weapon hit, which is not good. So that basically means that scimitar, so if you look, the scimitar does 3 damage at short range, and it does 1 damage at medium range. So basically we can't do any, we have to be in short range basically to cause any damage now. So that's definitely not good for the scimitar. And now, so because it was this one, I'm going to have to make sure that I mark that one as the damaged one. I have ordered some more tokens that have numbers on them, so I'll be able to say like, hey, they have numbers etched into them, so it'll be easier to keep track of who's who. But those haven't gotten here yet. So let me see here. So that was all right, so the pirates are done. And now it is Karita's turn, or the local defense force. So this guy here is going to fire at him. He needs an 8. These guys are a little bit better. The scimitars are, I think. Well, no, actually, I thought the scimitars had a lower pilot rating. I think it might be because, I don't remember, but anyway, he has a little bit, he just needs an 8 to hit, so he's attacking this guy right here. And he missed. He still gets to shoot, right? Because remember, combat is simultaneous, so that -1 weapon damage doesn't apply until the next turn. So he's basically going to trade punches here, so let's see what happens. He needs a 10. and almost got it. So that did not good. And then what I'm going to do, so also we've got, these are striker light tanks here. They are going to use their indirect fire. So this infantry unit is going to spot, and he is going to attack this guy right here. So he has an indirect fire value where he can do 1 point of damage. So we need 11. So we got to roll 11 or better, and then if I get a hit, it will cause 1 damage. So basically, they're firing their missiles over all the intervening terrain using the infantry guys as spotters. So here goes 1. That is a miss, and that is a miss. So we did a little bit of damage. Looks like the pirates have the upper hand temporarily. So that is that will be the end of turn 2. So basically, I'll have to clear all the dice off and all the movement things, and then we will start the next turn. But there you have it, folks. That is the current state of affairs on... I'll end up, if I continue on with this, what I'll end up doing is I'll start developing a backstory, but I kind of wanted to try the Alpha Strike system out, kind of get my feet wet a little bit, see if I like it, and see if I want to continue playing. So I didn't develop a lot of backstory because I didn't want to dedicate a whole lot of time to something that I'm not going to continue on with. But as it stands right now, things are looking pretty good. It's something that I might keep up with. Maybe not constantly, but I might play BattleTech a little bit more often. So anyway, there you have it, folks. That is the sit rep for the local defense force versus the pirates on some backwater planet out in the galaxy someplace. Thanks for watching. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll get ready to roll some initiative. So basically in the end phase it says remove destroyed units or restart shutdown units. Didn't happen. None of that happened. So now we go off to initiative. So, you know, turns are pretty simple. So we will say the red are the pirates and black. Actually, you know what? Carita or Draconis Combine, their colors are traditionally red. So we'll say that the local defense force color dice is red and the pirates are black. You know, hoist the black flag, right? So whoever gets the highest number gets to go last. And going last is an advantage because you get to see if you win, you move last. So you get to see what the other guys do and you can react to that. Combat is simultaneous. So even if you are able to kill a unit because you fire first, the other unit still gets the chance to fire back. So it looks like the pirates win, so they are going to go last. So we'll go ahead and decide what we're going to do, and I'll be back with you in a little bit.